All right, welcome back to the channel. So, Errol Spence Jr. says that after seeing the performance of Canelo Alvarez, he states that he is going to clearly be the face of boxing. We heard that Terrence Crawford said some more stuff on Twitter, but the main point that Terrence Crawford says is that I guess I'm pound for pound number one, and a lot of people is starting to take Canelo off the pound for pound list as number one and moving him down drastically. So I'm gonna break it down to y'all. Let's talk about it in this video. King Jr. got another video for y'all. Please sure that you like, subscribe to the channel, and also share the video to get all your latest boxing news. And remember to hit that bell icon to get all the newest videos that I release, so you'll never have to miss another video from me again. And shout out to all the new subscribers. The channel is growing. Is at 500 plus subscribers, and I appreciate you guys supporting the content and supporting what I'm building. And we're going to continue to try to speak the truth, be neutral as we possibly can be. So let's get into this video. So Errol Spence Jr. Clearly seen the performance of Canelo Alvarez, and Errol Spence Jr. says that he is clearly the face of boxing. And I have to agree with Errol Spence Jr. Now, you guys know I ride with Errol Spence Jr., but I have to agree that Errol Spence Jr. is starting to become the face of boxing slowly, because Errol Spence Jr. is doing the numbers. Errol Spence Jr. has a lot of support from his people. Errol Spence Jr. Has the support from the mayor, the Dallas Cowboys, and all sorts of things. And a lot of people like Errol Spence Jr. besides the Terrence Crawford fans, because y'all just want to see Errol Spence Jr. lose. But Errol Spence Jr. is slowly starting to become the face of boxing. Now, is he a huge star, the face of boxing like Canelo Alvarez? Not yet, but Errol Spence Jr. is getting up there slowly. And Errol Spence Jr., when he had his fight against Danny Garcia in 2020, he did the biggest gate, bigger than Canelo Alvarez did in 2020. And let's get to Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford seen the performance of Canelo Alvarez, and he says, I guess I'm the pound for pound number one. Now, I can understand why Terrence Crawford and people put Terrence Crawford at pound for pound number one, because Terrence Crawford is a multi-division champion. He's a 3-division champion. He was undisputed at 140 pounds, despite the competition that he fought. At the end of the day, he just fought the best at 140, and he beat all the guys at 140 that he possibly could beat. Hopefully, Terrence Crawford can do that at 147. I think Errol Spence Jr. is going to beat Terrence Crawford, in my opinion. But Terrence Crawford is a legend. If Terrence Crawford beats Errol Spence Jr., I give him nothing but respect and nothing but the props. But I'm riding with man down all day. And so now people are starting to degrade and downgrade Canelo Alvarez off the pound for pound list. We know that Canelo Alvarez struggled very badly to Demetrius Bivol. Like I said before, a lot of you guys came at me in comments like, how can you give Canelo Alvarez 3 rounds? Well, I gave him 3 rounds to be generous, okay? I gave him 3 rounds to be generous, in my opinion. Now, I could say you guys are saying Bivol won every single round, and you can make a case that Bivol won every single round. I'll say this. I'll give Canelo Alvarez 2 rounds to 11. Well, yeah, two rounds to Bivol's 8 or 11 rounds together. So whatever the case may be, 11-1. Okay, I'm gonna say that for you guys. Bivol won basically every single round, and Canelo Alvarez won 1 round. So it was clearly a lopsided victory and a blowout, in my opinion. I feel like that Canelo Alvarez had a very off night. And like I said this before, Eddie Reynoso is an overrated trainer. Eddie Reynoso has not been putting Canelo Alvarez in the biggest fights in the sport of boxing. Eddie Reynoso has put Canelo Alvarez on this Euro bum bashing, whatever you want to call it. I blame Eddie Reynoso for not putting Canelo Alvarez with the best competition, because you guys know when you're not fighting the best competition, you start to get too comfortable and you start to lose focus against guys that you shouldn't lose focus to. And that's what Canelo Alvarez did. He lost to a guy that everybody thought he was a cherry pick, but Demetrius Bivol, I believe, was an Olympic gold medalist. He was a WBA champion. He was undefeated, and he's clearly outschooled Canelo Alvarez at the end of the day. Now, if you guys want to go check out my video about Teddy Alex exposing the scorecards, I kind of broke the scorecards down a little bit, so go check that video out. It's really doing good, and I appreciate you guys for supporting the video, hitting the like button, and all this other stuff. So let's get into this more. We know that Canelo Alvarez struggled against certain type of styles, a slick style that Canelo Alvarez fears and have trouble with as well. A lot of people thought that, well, first of all, Canelo Alvarez lost to Floyd Mayweather. We know he got schooled for 12 rounds straight. There was a judge that clearly gave Canelo Alvarez a draw, and Floyd Mayweather legitimately won every single round, and I don't know why they gave him a draw. I guess just to favor Canelo Alvarez. You guys remember that Canelo Alvarez stated that there's no way that he won this fight as well. Okay, when Canelo Alvarez fought Austin Trout, a lot of people thought that Austin Trout was winning the fight. And when you see the Georgia scorecards, Canelo Alvarez was up very big, and Austin Trout, I believe, that has gotten knocked out and stopped by Canelo Alvarez because he had no choice but to go for it. So a lot of controversy came in when Canelo Alvarez fought a slick backfire against Errol Lara. Errol Lara was a very Cuban style. You know, he's got that old school Cuban style of boxing. They're very fundamentally sound. And Errol Lara was landing accurate shots on Canelo Alvarez, popping that jab, utilizing the ring, utilizing the lateral movement, and he was winning the half of the first half of the quarter of boxing. And then Errol Lara to start to show that he was running from Canelo Alvarez because he was just using too much lateral movement. Even though that Errol Lara was landing the more clean, effective punches, he was using way too much lateral movement, and they wound up getting the nod to Canelo Alvarez for ring generalship because you just can't sit there, even if you're throwing punches back, you just can't take a major step back because they feel like you're not taking control of the fight. You know, you got to look like Muhammad Ali if you're going to fight on the back foot. I'm not saying guys are Muhammad Ali, but you got to have that some way that Muhammad Ali's fight, that swag to fight on the back foot and still continue to throw punches and not look like you're running, and that's why Errol Lara lost that fight. So we're going to get into the Gennady Golovkin situation. A lot of people thought that Canelo Alvarez lost both fights to Gennady Golovkin, and you could arguably make a case that Canelo Alvarez lost both fights to Gennady Golovkin. This is what I'm hearing, but I believe that Canelo Alvarez won both fights against Gennady Golovkin because Gennady Golovkin was trying to fight Canelo Alvarez fight. In the first fight, Gennady Golovkin said that Canelo Alvarez was running. Canelo Alvarez was trying to utilize his boxing movement and be slick because he knew that Gennady Golovkin was a very big puncher. In the second fight, Canelo Alvarez just outschooled Gennady Golovkin because Gennady Golovkin was still using that old rough, rugged style and just throwing power shots and not utilizing his jab. I don't know if he was trying to time Canelo Alvarez, and I believe his timing was off. And Gennady Golovkin does not have the best footwork as well. So that's why I gave both fights to Canelo Alvarez, because Canelo Alvarez was landing the more clean, effective punches. He was digging to the body, and basically they were standing toe-to-toe in the ring when they fought. And Canelo Alvarez was using a little bit of boxing ability, and Gennady Golovkin made all this crazy crap about how he's not fighting Mexican style. So now we're going to go back to the Demetrius Bivol case. Canelo Alvarez, he didn't make adjustments. I didn't see him utilize the head movement. I didn't see him utilize the jab enough. Canelo Alvarez was basically looking to tire out Bivol's arms, keep striking Bivol's arms until Bivol's arms drop his guard a little bit and go for the big knockout blow. He had that success against Caleb Plant when he was hitting Caleb Plant in the arms. He was wearing Caleb Plant down. Caleb Plant was kept on tipping in the shoulder roll. Caleb Plant, he did not master the shoulder roll as well. He was struggling with the shoulder roll, and Canelo Alvarez wound up calling with a big right or big left hook with an uppercut, and then Caleb Plant got knocked up. Canelo Alvarez was trying to do the same thing to Demetrius Bivol, but like I said before, Demetrius Bivol is a master-class boxer. He may not be the biggest puncher at light heavyweight, but he is a master-class boxer, and Demetrius Bivol was popping that jab, throwing that 1-2. He's a basic European fighter with a great 1-2, and what surprised me that Demetrius Bivol was hitting Canelo Alvarez with combinations. When the fifth round, Canelo Alvarez was very lazy on defense. He looked like he was very winded, and Demetrius Bivol hit like a 3 to 4 punch combination, and Canelo Alvarez says, come on, that ain't hurt me. And Bivol like, come on, you can get some more of this. So I knew that Canelo Alvarez was having little problems with fatigue, and he was struggling because he was getting pushed back by the bigger man, and his defense, you know, was lackluster. Like he was putting his hand down at time, thinking that he was slick Mexican. He was trying to be a slick Mexican stylistic. That's not Canelo Alvarez style. Canelo Alvarez style is come in with the high guard, move his head, and consistently try to work his way on the inside, dig to the body, and so on and so forth. When Canelo Alvarez was trying to dig to the body, Bivol arms, by Bivol being a stocky and wider guy at 175, he was able to block those big body shots that Canelo Alvarez was throwing at him, and the punches was not phasing Bivol whatsoever. So Bivol took the aggression to go after Canelo Alvarez because he just wasn't simply throwing no kitchen sink at Canelo Alvarez. So whatever the case may be, we heard reports that Demetrius Bivol wants to fight Canelo Alvarez at 168 for undisputed. Now Canelo Alvarez, Demetrius Bivol said he'll give Canelo Alvarez a a rematch if Canelo Alvarez chose to activate the rematch clause. Now, I think that Bivol is going to be giving up an advantage in weight. I think Bivol, you know, I don't know. Maybe a lot of people feel like that Bivol is a very small light heavyweight, so maybe he might be comfortable at 168 pounds. But if Bivol beats Canelo Alvarez at 168, that's going to be a huge statement for Demetrius Bivol. Is Demetrius Bivol going to be the cash cow pay-per-view king after he beats Canelo Alvarez? No. A lot of people still don't know who Demetrius Bivol is, but the diehard boxing fans would know who Demetrius Bivol is because he beat the guy at 168. I believe Demetrius Bivol will fight a lot of guys at 168 for all those titles. And we heard that Jamal Charlo tweeted out and says, "Oh my effing God, Canelo Alvarez lost." So Canelo Alvarez just sparked confidence of a lot of fighters that he's got to fight at the moment, because he has to prove a statement that none of these guys can beat him. But you guys believe that it's a certain type of style that Canelo Alvarez is struggling with, and I have to agree with you guys, because it is a certain type of style that Canelo Alvarez is struggling with, and he's having big problems with it. And I think that Eddie Reynoso is not a good trainer. I don't think that Eddie Reynoso can make the adjustments to teach Canelo Alvarez something different, because it's too late for Canelo Alvarez to learn something new, because Eddie Reynoso took the time and trained Canelo Alvarez as a one-dimensional fighter. Well, I'm not going to say one-dimensional. I'm going to say 3 to 2-dimensional fighter. And Eddie Reynoso, he didn't teach Canelo Alvarez nothing. He didn't teach Canelo Alvarez really how to use his lateral movement. He didn't teach Canelo Alvarez how to pop that jab out there. He just taught Canelo Alvarez how to be a one-shot gunman. Just throw in a big shot and hopefully it lands. And I have to blame Eddie Reynoso, because Eddie Reynoso is a fat, sloppy, lazy trainer, and he does not train his fighters well. And that's just my opinion on the whole situation. But with that being said, Errol Spence Jr. says, "It looks like I'm going to be the face of boxing." Terrence Crawford also stated that it looks like I'm going to be the pound-for-pound king. To me, I pick Errol Spence Jr. over Terrence Crawford on the pound-for-pound list, but I can understand why Terrence Crawford is pound-for-pound #1, because of the accolades and because of the accomplishments of Terrence Crawford, and he's being a multi-division champion and all the stuff they did, so we can't discredit Terrence Crawford for the accomplishment. And Canelo Alvarez is maybe falling off the pound-for-pound list fast if he doesn't make up for this fight. So whatever the case may be, guys. So with that being said, it is what it is. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. This is your boy King Jr. I'm out of here. Peace.